What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel. And thank you guys for tuning in to another video, episode 51, coming at you guys here today. And excited to stay consistent as we continue to pump out these episodes. Hoping you guys are enjoying all those episodes, episode 48, 49, 50. Now here we are at 51. We've been super consistent, as I mentioned, to start the new year, uploading twice in January. Now here's our first upload in February. Well, actually, funny that I am saying that this is actually recorded before we get into the month of January, but by the time we do post this and kind of it'll be out to you guys, made available to you guys, it'll be into February. So it's been super fun already to dive into the new year, to have four guests now with today's episode that we've sat down with and kind of learned their journey through the Canadian Football League. So, and actually, maybe I shouldn't say Canadian Football League, just Canadian Football League is maybe just a teaser for maybe anybody that's missed our previous episodes. If you guys have, of course, you guys can head over to the Canadian Football Fanatics YouTube channel, check out all that good content. And then, of course, please be sure to like today's video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel. When you guys subscribe, press the notification bell. You guys get notified every time we go live or upload a video just like this one right here. And then, of course, you guys can find us on our social media platforms as well. We're on Instagram at Canadian Football Fanatics, and then we're on Twitter as well at _ CF Fanatics over on X. So a follow, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff would be much appreciated. And then, of course, you guys can also find some more of our long and short form content, very similar to our YouTube channel, with the long episodes, podcast episodes, or film breakdown videos that we've had. And then they also do a good job of actually editing and producing their own like YouTube shorts, clips and whatnot from our interviews. So huge shout out to Millions. We'll leave the link in our description as always. And of course, not only do we have our content over on millions.com, we also have our merchandise available over there as well. You guys can get shirts and hoodies, which is super cool as well. So big shout out to Millions. A little bit about Millions, guys, for people that maybe are unaware, I guess we could say, is it's similar to, I guess, like a YouTube platform or maybe even like a Google platform where you can get in there, search a numerous amount of genres for content or whatnot. It kind of, I believe, started as a MMA brand, and then they've shifted into some football stuff. The fellow who reached out to me that works for Millions was actually a University of I believe it was McMaster alum that played in U Sports. Kind of found our page on Instagram, reached out and thought the collaboration and partnership would be awesome. And it's been awesome working with them over at Millions. So head over there, check out our content, check out some merch. And then, of course, when on the topic of merch, hopefully by the time this is uploaded and out to you guys can head over to royalretros.com and whether you search it or look for the CFF tab, our merchandise will be made available on there, as well as the 13th Man Football Sports uh, and the Trench Talk uh, merchandise will be available on there as well. I believe, from what we're hearing, shirts, hoodies, and then I think we're getting a hat as well that you guys can pick up as well if you guys are interested. Royal Retros, for anybody that is unaware as well, they produce or they work with the CFLPA and producing CFLPA merchandise, which is pretty cool. And then they also work with like the CFL and the kind of, as they are Royal Retros, they release a ton of cool older generation CFL jerseys, which is awesome, from teams that where the American expansion don't exist no more, and super cool to get your hands on. So go over, check out Royal Retros. We'll also leave the link in the description, as I mentioned. Hopefully by the time this is uploaded, all of our collection will be made available to the public. So super cool. One huge shout out to Shane, of course, at 13th Man Football, once again, for helping set that up and getting the ball rolling on that one. So we don't have too many more reminders, folks. We're going to basically dive right into today's episode. Of course, we're going to be joined by one Riley Pickett, good Sasky boy. Been excited for this one, actually. We've kind of, got at each other last off season about potentially getting together and recording something. It just didn't work out due to timing purposes and whatnot. And then now we got to circle back. I've been familiar with Riley since my rookie year playing for the Vancouver Island Raiders, and definitely going to ask Riley about his time playing for the Saskatoon Hilltops, where we met in the Canadian football semifinal, and his Hilltops got the better of my VI Raiders during my rookie season way back in 2017, nearly a decade ago, which is crazy to think about. But other than that, as I mentioned, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed all the episodes. dating back to the new year. Even if you guys want to go check out some older ones from last off season, go check out episodes 40 through, I think it's 47, I want to say. And then we've just dropped 48, 49, 50 into 2026. And then, of course, we'll have 51 as well. So make sure you guys are subscribed as well. When you guys subscribe, press notification bell because you guys get notified, as I mentioned, every time every time we go live or upload a video just like this one. Who knows, guys? We could maybe upload this one a little bit faster. Maybe it's not every 2 weeks during the off season where we have a little bit more free time. We can pump this out where we kind of want to, well, basically what we're doing this year and taking a little bit more time, or what I'm doing this year is kind of making sure that I take that 2 weeks to kind of prep my episodes, making sure I have all my YouTube shorts and Instagram reel clips and whatnot from the episodes ready to go, ready to post when we drop them. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. But if we are, say, able to crush 1 week of clips or whatnot, editing, all that good stuff, we may just drop one very quickly on you guys. So as I said, subscribe to the channel. When you guys subscribe, press the notification bell. Same with Instagram or Twitter as well. You guys can turn those post notifications on as well. So you guys can head over to our Instagram, as you guys can see at the top of the screen, at Canadian Football Fanatics, at _ CF Fanatics on X. So without further ado, let's send it over to our episode 51 guest right now. Alrighty, Fanatics. Joining me for episode 51 is BC Lions Swiss Army knife and proud Sasky boy, one Riley Pickett. Riley, thanks for joining us, buddy. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on here. Dealing with the little Sasky wind gusts out here, but we're all good.
They are unique, I tell you. But speaking about the offseason, man, you've been in the headlines. I know in your personal life, there's been some exciting stuff happening. How's the offseason been treating Riley Pickett?
All season's been great. Obviously season didn't end the way we wanted to, but we just are going to come back stronger for that. And off season, personally got engaged, which is pretty cool. Went to Mexico. Yeah, exactly. Give a couple fist bumps for that. Went to Mexico, popped the question there. It was a phenomenal experience, great memories for sure. And now we're just right back in the thick of it with the pro group training, and it's pretty intense, but I love it, so I'd have it no other way.
Yeah, I know you talked about the lifestyle and enjoying the lifestyle of a professional football player and whatnot. So, we're still, I feel like, early into the off season, right? We get through Christmas and whatnot, and kind of starting to creep towards February. At what point, as a professional football player, do we start to maybe get the itch of, like, the saying the fans coin, like, is it June yet? Is it still too early yet to, like, what, my body's still sore and still kind of taking that downtime, or are we kind of starting to get the itch a little bit?
So it's funny you say that, because today in the gym, actually, we had like a sprinting session and then like a full lift afterwards. And I was feeling good. Body's feeling great. The pre-workout was hitting just right, hitting some good PBs. So, I was getting the itch to go out there and throw some run blocks for sure. Yeah.
I love that. So, something that I really wanted to kind of focus on was your guys' kind of vision with Next Level, and what you guys have created there with Next Level Football Academy, and kind of just sharing, as I mentioned, the kind of the vision behind it, and maybe sharing a little bit about kind of the coaches that are involved, as well as some camps you guys have upcoming.
Yeah, so Next Level Academy, me and my teammate Josh Haggerty, we started it last year. We had a pretty good rookie season as a company. We had a camp in Saskatoon and in Vancouver. We had about 80 kids out in Saskatoon and around 50 out in Vancouver. We also offer one-on-one personal coaching for all positions. I obviously specialize in long snapping training, defensive line training, and fullback training. And then we have coaches for every other position. Josh Haggerty, obviously defensive back and special team stuff. And Noah Zur is our main offensive line coach as well. And this year we are doing camps again in Saskatoon and Vancouver. So we're going to do April 11th and 12th in Vancouver and April 4th and 5th in Saskatoon. And registrations are already booming. So it's great to see all that support.
Super cool, man. It's been super cool to kind of see you guys grow that brand and kind of what it'll become in the future, and hopefully maybe even come out to Vancouver Island at some point would be super cool to maybe collab at some point and get you guys out here. I think that would be super cool opportunity for the fans or the football players on the island as it's growing over here. And super cool, as I mentioned, just to follow you guys kind of throughout your growth and on social media and whatnot. So speaking about, I know you guys are in Vancouver as well, but going back to Saskatoon and whatnot, obviously a proud Sasky boy yourself growing up there. You got to give me, in your words, Riley Pickett, what is kind of the definition of a Sasky football player? I had AJ Allen on a few episodes ago, and obviously had kind of the conversation like what makes Ontario kind of separate from the rest of the country. But Sask is right in that conversation as kind of the the hotbed of football players in the country. So give me a definition for a Sask football player, and then what makes them kind of different and sets them apart from the rest of the country.
So, obviously we're not going to be the most athletic guys in the field, but we're always going to have the biggest hearts and we're going to hit the hardest. And, we're going to be super gritty. We're going to do everything we can to suit up every single game, every single play. And we're going to play every snap like it's going to be our last snap. So I think that's why, there's a lot of us in the CFL from having like such a small population in general of Canada. But there's a lot of actual like really good football players coming out of Saskatchewan in general because we just love the game. There's nothing else to do here other than grind in the gym, kind of push yourself with your friends all the time. It's a great vibe. So I think that, just like with the building blocks that we have here, obviously with like the Saskatoon Hilltops, the Regina Thunder are always a great team. Like that's a good rivalry. Obviously, like we're undefeated against them in my playing time. And then the Saskatchewan Huskies, obviously powerhouse, absolute wagon. The Regina Rams the last couple of years are coming around as well. Although also undefeated against them in my youth sports career. And then I can really credit all that though to, just like having resources like Ignite Athletics. Like Joel Lipinski there, he does a great job. He's been my trainer for 12 years now. And he's really seen me grow from, a high school kid to a professional athlete. And, he's kind of like helped develop me into the man I am today. So just like having, kind of support systems like that. And like Coach Scott Flory with the Huskies, right? He's a CFL Hall of Famer for a reason. And same with, I had Coach Warren Muzika was my defensive coordinator with the Huskies, and he just like instilled that toughness, that grit in you. So, long story short, we're never going to be the most athletic guys out there, but we're going to try the hardest out there. And hard work beats talent every time.
So you referenced it twice now in Ignite. Talk a little bit about how kind of beneficial that is. I feel like for yourself and everybody that it's that goes there, as well as kind of some of the names that attend there during the off season as well.
Yeah, so obviously super beneficial. They kind of take everything into consideration. Like they have a whole physio program for you. They have a diet program for you. They have like body fat scanners, force plates. They build you your own customized, professional program for like what you need in your body and like your weaknesses and like your imbalances and things of that nature. And guys that I, work out with, like a lot of my college guys that went pro. So like Noah Zur, Nathan Cherry, Josh Haggerty. This year it's going to be Dan Weeb, Seth Hundeby, guys like that. And then obviously like still rubbing salt in the wound from beating us in the West Final. They got, Logan Furland is there. He's a, all-star player. And I played against him when he was on the Thunder for 3 years, and he was an offensive tackle. I was a defensive end. So we were just always button heads. He's one of my close buddies there for sure. And Rodine Brown is there. He's on the Calgary Stampeders. He actually went to my high school with me, Centennial Chargers in Saskatoon. So that's pretty cool. A little small world there. And this year we got a new guy, Steven Smith. He's on the Argonauts. He also was a Regina Thunder guy. And we have Jacob Brammer, who was an all-CFL guard for the Riders this year. So we got a big group, 12 guys, and it's kind of like our own little mini team. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, super cool. As I mentioned, kind of the social media side for Next Level, it's been super cool to see what comes out of there and you guys training and whatnot. I would imagine, as the saying goes, with iron sharpens iron, you guys are competing against each other on a daily basis, which is super cool. So let's talk a little bit about yourself now, Riley, and get into kind of your journey now, getting into the CFL. And let's start with kind of your recruiting process. And it's going to be a two-part question. I'll ask you the one first to kind of just take us through your recruiting process. But I feel like for young kids that are maybe starting to get into this phase of their life, this is a pretty good lesson for them. So just give us a first kind of example or whatever of kind of maybe going through your recruiting process. I understand you were not only a football player, a good Canadian boy, a hockey player as well growing up. So take us through that and maybe kind of just why you ended up deciding to go with the Hilltops.
Yeah, so I loved hockey. It was my first love for sure. Like every, most Canadian kids, especially in Saskatchewan, just like playing on the outdoor rink at the lake, every school here has an outdoor rink. So it's just like, it's super easy access. So obviously I loved hockey. I played until grade 12, pretty high level. And then for football wise, I kind of didn't really grow into my body and like get athletic until about that grade 12 year. So I didn't have any offers coming out of high school. And a couple of my buddies were going to go play for the Hilltops. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go walk on with the Hilltops. I still want to be a part of a team. and I want to like kind of cheat life for a couple more years here before I got to start working. And walked on with the Hilltops, made the team, got a number as a rookie, which is like pretty special thing to do with that historic program, and played for 4 games in my rookie year. We had 22 fifth years that graduated that year. So there was some big shoes to fill going forward. And then obviously, luckily, just kept developing, ignite, eating, like forcing food down my throat with water, mom's homemade cooking, sleeping, 8-10 hours a day. Just that first to third year Hilltops really developed me as a young man for sure.
Interesting. I thought maybe we would have been a little bit different, where maybe you would have been recruited by some universities. Obviously, you end up at University of Saskatchewan. My lesson would have been to the young kids of like understanding that it's an okay thing to go junior before you end up going to youth sports. You can kind of develop, grow into your body, as you mentioned. So you end up deciding to go to the program in the CJFL. Let's clarify that for sure. As I mentioned, we do have a little bit of kind of a connection with, in 2017 and whatnot, but this is something that I was super interested to kind of hear some of the backstories and whatnot, hear about Coach Sargent. I have to definitely give a big shout out to one Cody Upton, who hopefully is maybe watching this.
Yeah.
Obviously, a former Saskatoon Hilltop. He ended up coming out to VI and kind of got to go, get a pretty good connection with him. So tell us a little about kind of similar to Sask and what maybe sets them apart. What sets the Hilltops program apart?
So Sarge is a big believer in never letting anybody be comfortable. So even if you're the star quarterback, the star running back, it doesn't matter who you are. Like Logan Fisher probably rings a bell for you, right? He always challenged him to be better. It doesn't matter what was happening. If he broke 4 tackles, he said, "Why didn't you break 5?" If you have a 60-yard run and get tackled on the 5, why didn't you score? So it doesn't matter who you are, what position you are. He always expects greatness out of you, and he demands it on a daily basis. So I think that just every single day, consistency, demanding that, just really ingrains that into like the minds of young men, and that's why that program is so successful. It starts from the top down, obviously, right?
And I believe up to, is it 24 national championships after this past year, I believe. Obviously, you were a part of 3 of them, which is super cool, and have the jewelry to show it. So you mentioned Sarge. I feel like outside of maybe Sask, he's obviously very stoic from what we see on sidelines and whatnot and stuff like that. But I feel like outside of Sask, and if you haven't played for him, he's a little bit of like kind of a mystery man. So do you have any like, what is Coach Sargent like to play for? Is he kind of a player's coach, or is he kind of just one of those guys that just kind of gets down to business, motivates his guys, and his team loves him and plays for him? Or kind of just give us a little bit of some insight on Coach Sarge, since he is, the GOAT of CJFL coaching.
Yeah, he definitely is the GOAT. And I would say that he is a player's coach to a certain extent, but he will grind your body down to the absolute grindstone. Like you are doing full padded practice 3 days before your game. You're doing Oki, you're doing A drill, you're doing full scrim. Like everyone's live except for the starting quarterback. It's pretty crazy, but obviously that's why the program's so successful. And like obviously, as you probably found in 2017, like we're a pretty hard hitting football team, and that's why, right? So, but he's definitely a player's coach. Like he celebrated the victories with the team, and I always thought that was really cool. So like he would have a lot of guys out to his house after games. He would have drinks waiting in the locker room for us after we'd win games, things of that nature. But during the week, it was all business. Like it reminds me kind of how like obviously it's not even close to the same level, but it reminds me how like Saban and like Indiana's coaches now, right? Like where it's just straight business, Monday to Friday. We're not wasting any time. We're demanding greatness out of everybody, and that's the standard. And if you're not fitting into that standard, you're out the door. So that really like the toughest survive, right? Like it's survival of the fittest. And like I said before, being a guy that had no offers, didn't grow into my body out of high school, I had to adapt. I had to survive. I had to do things that other guys weren't willing to do to keep dressing on game day. And automatically that got me drafted, and that got me to where I am today with playing on my 3rd position in the CFL.
Yeah, damn right. I love to hear that from Sarge. It's cool to kind of hear he is a little bit of a player's coach and kind of enjoys to hang out with his team as well. So you referenced 2017. We already talked about it. You have 3 of those things to show for it. What are some of the memories from that? Obviously, as I said and kind of referenced it already, we met up. Actually, I was, to be fully transparent, I was a rookie in 2017, so I actually didn't travel with the team. My memories of that game was actually just watching it from home, and kind of what set the tone was, I believe you guys kicked off, and the as you referenced before we went live, that Sasky win is something different. I believe the ball went out of the back of the end zone. We kind of were like, oh, oh shit, like we're not in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
And the game obviously went how it did, and kind of was super disappointing. But talk a little bit about kind of the memories and maybe the brotherhood that comes from that 3-year run, all the blood, sweat, and tears together. But at the end of the day, obviously, when you guys come back, say for the 10-year reunion for the 2016 team or the 17-18 team, where you guys have that bond and memories for life as champions, national champions.
Yeah. So it's cliche to be like, every sports team's a family. Like, this is your family. We're all family. The Hilltops and Huskies programs, you're actually family. So, like, when you're an alumni with that group, you can just walk into the building. People remember who you are. It's never awkward. The Hilltops have an alumni game every year. It's the Hilltops preseason game where all the alumni guys that want to suit up go and play against the Hilltops and just beat the shit out of them. And you go all crush beers after, have a barbecue after with all your buddies that you used to play with. So, like, it's a true family, and I think that's why we're all so successful in Saskatchewan football. It's the same thing with the Huskies, obviously, right? Like, they have an amazing facility there. You can go there second, third floor for only alumni for the games. They have drinks for you. They have food for you. It's just like it's a big family gathering. So I think that, just when you're playing with all your brothers. And then when you're done playing, you have this massive extended family that you didn't even know existed. But everyone's still there. Everyone still celebrates the same. And it's just really cool to be a part of, for sure.
So you do go through your 3 years with the Hilltops program, and then you end up deciding to make that jump to U Sports and go to University of Sask. How excited were you at that time to kind of make that jump where, maybe coming into the Hilltops program, you're a little bit kind of, happy-go-lucky. I'm just here to kind of, earn a spot and maybe see where this takes me. At year 3, you had earned those championships. You had become an all-star caliber player, an all-Canadian type of player, where you had a name to yourself. And now to maybe take that jump into the university level, how excited were you for that challenge?
Yeah, so obviously, like, I had to knock down some hurdles in order to actually do that. It was kind of frowned upon, and I kind of got disowned actually by Sargent and the Hilltops by leaving early. I was the first guy to do it for a long time, and it's because that I knew, Huskies went 2-6 the season before. They didn't get any recruits that year. They needed to sign, and I truly believe guys that play junior aren't really, rookies going into U Sports. I think they're more of like a free agent signing because we're older. We played a lot of ball. Like, we know what to expect out there. So when I made that jump, it was more so of me trying to mend and have a good relationship still with the Hilltops and with Sarge, because I knew that, like, I was like, I want to go get my school paid for and I want to go play a high level of football. And like, this is my path to go pro one day. Right. So obviously it was super exciting. I had a great year in that third year with the Hilltops, including playoffs. I had like 15 sacks or something like that. And I can credit a lot of that to, my time in Harbin, China with Team Canada. When we beat Team USA for the gold medal in the World Juniors, I developed a lot as a player in that month when I was there, because it was just football 10 hours a day for a month. And I loved it. And I still love it. So like, I can really credit a lot for that. But yeah, no, it was pretty cool, going there in my first year. All the coaches in the Canada West had us pulled to finish last, and we ended up winning the Hardy Cup. So, going there, being a starter, playing every single snap on defense that year. I think I had 6 sacks that year as a rookie in U Sports. And, being an impact player to, get a Hardy Cup, and the Huskies didn't get a playoff win for about 12 years before that. That was definitely pretty special.
So you end up at the University of Saskatchewan, I believe. Was it 4 years, 3 seasons? I believe with
Yep.
COVID, obviously, and similar to the Hilltops. Obviously, you guys maybe don't end up with a national championship, but very successful. You end up winning, as you mentioned, I believe 2 Hardy Cups. 2019, I think, is the only one that you didn't win. Calgary, obviously represented for the Can West, but
That
you
was the
guys
year
have a
too, which is tough.
right,
Yeah.
right. You guys end up having a phenomenal team for those 3 seasons you guys were there, especially on defense with, as you already kind of referenced, some of the guys, Haggerty and the Cherries and Weeb, now that's in the CFL. Talk about those memories and kind of flying around with that unit. I would imagine those were some fun days and fun memories, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, our defense was nasty. We were hard hitting. We were nasty, and our
And I
defense.
shouldn't forget the offense either. And that's not to say that the offense was nasty either.
Yeah, but that was before I even had a concept of what offense was doing out there. I was just going out there, see ball to get ball, make plays in the backfield, celebrate. Like, there's nothing better than being a defensive lineman and hearing your name called on a loudspeaker because you did something great, right, to help your team. So Our offense obviously was balling. Like my best friend from high school, Adam Macker, was a running back, phenomenal career. Mason Nias, I grew really close with him. He could absolutely sling the rock. Sam Baker, great receiver. You know, Colton Clausen, great receiver. Our offensive line were just massive human beings. So our offense was pretty good, and it made us way better to practice against them every day, right? Yeah, it was me, Cherry, Evan Macabroda, Nicholas Daly, Nick Weave, Josh Haggerty. Like we had some absolute dogs on defense, and we got after people, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, forgive me. I forgot about Daly being there as well. Obviously, Daly
Yeah.
spent a little bit of time in the BCFC with Oki for, as I mentioned, a little bit of time, but he was a phenomenal player. And his, I think, 3 or 4 games he spent in Oki had like double-digit sacks, which was ridiculous. So, um, let's get into a little bit more about Sask and kind of, as I mentioned, and maybe you already did kind of talk a little bit about it, but if there is young kids that are maybe watching that are maybe working with Next Level or even in the Vancouver area that are watching, what would maybe kind of be like your message to them, as I said, about like, not having to rush to university right away, and you can just take your time, develop with, junior, and that being a quality pathway to eventually getting to U Sports?
Yeah, like I definitely think that it's a benefit to play 2 to 3 years as junior, and just turn into more of a man, grow into your body. Figure out how to actually play the game, get real meaningful game reps, lots of practice reps, because you're not going to get better playing football without playing football. So that's why it's like if you're going to go to a U Sport team and redshirt for 2 years, that might not be the best option for you, right? Even though in that time, like you think like, oh, like big shiny car. I want the shiny car. But it's like, no, at the end of the day, maybe get something a little bit more reliable and somewhere that is going to get you A to B, right? So if I were to say anything to the kids out there, like just trust in your process. And that's kind of why I started Next Level, was to show that anything that you want to do in this life, you can do it. Like I was a 6'3", 200-pound, uncoordinated kid out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and I just grinded my whole life to be where I am today. And that's just kind of what I want to show these kids and give them the resources that I wish I had when I was younger.
No, so well said. So well said. So you end up finishing your career in, I believe, that 2021 fall it would have been, and then end up going into your draft year, what would have been that 2022 spring, I believe. So take us into that, process where your dreams are about to come true, and you're about to hear your name called in the CFL draft, but at the same time, you have to get through all of the combine stuff, the interviews. I'm sure it's nervous times where you're kind of maybe overthinking stuff, or like I could shave a few milliseconds off or stuff like that, where you're worrying about stuff that, let's just go out here, perform to my best, and coaches are going to see and let that shine through. So take us through that time of, like I said, the interview process, I'm sure too, is an interesting standpoint, but at the same time, it's kind of living out your dreams where maybe you've always wanted to go through like that process.
Yeah, for sure. Interview process is always scary. You're just kind of sitting in a chair in a massive like hotel meeting room with a personnel that's all around you, just staring at you. There's like a light on you. There's a camera on you. You're already sweating. They're grilling you with questions. Like they bring up a random play out of a random game, and they're like, "Why didn't you try on this play?" And you're like, "Well, like I don't want to tell them that I just had to play 70 plays straight, and I was tired, and I knew it was on the other side of the field because then it looks like I'm not trying." So like, yeah, they always set you up to fail in those interviews for sure, and they just kind of see what kind of person you are and what your character's like and how you answer those questions. But it was a great experience. Like it's everything that you think it would be, right? Like you're just in there getting grilled. Sometimes they're nice to you, and then all of a sudden it'll flip, and then it'll flip, and then it'll flip. So it was a great experience for sure. And it's the fact that I got to go through it with a couple of my best buddies, Adam Macker, Noah Zur, Nathan Cherry. We all went through it together. So that was also a pretty cool experience for sure.
Yeah, all the draft or the combine prep, excuse me, would be super cool. I'd imagine it's kind of similar to Ignite, where you guys are competing against one another. So take us into, what was that, right?
Yeah, it was at Ignite, the combine
Oh,
training.
really? Oh,
Oh
really?
yeah.
That's super, super cool. Super cool.
Yeah.
So, take us through that. Where with the, I believe it was the 41st pick, I believe in fourth or fifth round, the BC Lions select Riley Pickett, and obviously the CFL draft isn't as cool or as big as the NFL draft, but at the same point, it's still your dream coming true. You guys are still able to celebrate with family and friends, I would imagine, and kind of enjoy that moment for yourself.
Yeah. So it's actually funny because those two guys that I just said, Zur and Cherry, they were the first two picks for the Lions in that draft. So Cherry went in the first round, Zur went in the second round. And then I was like, okay, I'm probably going to go somewhere in like the third or fourth round. Third round goes by. I'm like, okay, Fourth round goes by. I'm like, okay, like I hope I get picked in the next couple of rounds here, or else I'm not going to get picked, right? Because it's a shorter draft. And BC at that point already took like 40 linemen. So when they were back up on the clock, I was like, yeah, like there's no way I'm getting picked to BC. They already took a bunch of D linemen. They're going to go somewhere else. And then it was on the draft tracker, and I saw my name pop up, Riley Pickett. And then like right after, I got a phone call. And my family behind me and my friends were all just screaming. I couldn't even hear Rick Campbell on the other end of the line. I had to go outside. He had to call me back. But those are memories that I'll remember forever. I think that my family was more happy for me than I was in that moment, which is pretty cool because it shows how much like they care and how much like they love me and believed in me. For me, it was going to camp, earning a spot, that first preseason game. I'll never forget. We're in Calgary and I was standing there and they all run out of the tunnel. And I'm like, these dudes are big. And then I was like, but I'm big too. And then go out there, make a couple good open field tackles on special teams, on some missed field goal kicks, have a couple good pancake blocks on KOR, and then made the team. So I think when I actually found out that I made the day one active roster in my rookie year, that was when I finally was like excited. If that
Took a
makes
deep
sense.
breath. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. So take us through what a roller coaster, and I say roller coaster in a good way because obviously roller coaster is enjoyable and all just the ups and downs of a rookie year of kind of you don't know what you don't know, right? You're going to these stadiums for the first time, you're traveling to away games by plane, and I know sometimes it happens in youth sports during, especially the national semis and whatnot, but where you're flying across country now to play and kind of the whirlwind of your first professional season.
Yeah, it was crazy. So the Huskies defensive system did not really set us up well for pro because it was a 3-man defensive line front and the DN. So like me and Cherry, pretty much we had to play DN, but we also had to play inside a lot of the time and like a 3-tech situation. So I was, 255 to 260 in my rookie year. And like, that's obviously not ideal for special teams at all. So I definitely had a tough learning curve, like with the legit speed of the game out there. And I dressed 10 games as a rookie, which I'm super grateful for. It was a great experience, but it also humbled me and made me realize what I need to do to get better and what I need to do to stay in the league and be an impact player in the league. So that after that rookie year, that off season was huge for me. I got down to 230, 235, just kept on working on quick twitch, mobility, shoulder mobility, hip mobility, ankle, knee, everything. Really honed in the diet completely, like to a T. And then obviously learned how to long snap for 4 months and then went to camp and won the long snapping job. And then all of a sudden I was like live bullets flying in game, like, oh my God, I'm long snapping in the CFL. And I never thought I'd be doing this in my life, but I'm super grateful for, my path and everything that's happened to me. And I can really credit it to, the Hilltop days and the Husky days and the Ignite, just like always making you tougher, always sharpening you, right? Just never get comfortable. That's a saying that I'll always say, just never be comfortable.
Yeah, your journey is what makes you you. So super cool. You just referenced it, so let's talk a little bit about it. And Jorgen Huss, who fellow Sasky boy as well, ended up kind of helping you long snap in a off season. So take us through that process of learning a new position, having played a little bit of quarterback myself, and backing up during my junior career. I did do a little bit of holding, and obviously it's two different things, but it is part of the operation. Understanding how I kind of joked with some of the guys like, man, I'd much rather play quarterback than hold because it's so stressful. I would imagine similar to maybe long snapping when you're learning it, where like maybe you get in that first game, like I'm long snapping in the CFL, man. Like just don't mess up. So take us through learning that and kind of the thought process.
Yeah, so I got a call in about January from the head office, and they said, "Hey, if you really want to like help your chances to make the team next year or this year coming up, I would learn how to long snap." And so I pretty much got from that like learn how to snap or you're going to get cut. So I reached out to Hoos, and he's like 10 years in his career at this point. I'm just like a spring chicken, like texting him, being like, "Hey, man, like." I know we don't really know each other, but can I come to your long snapping sessions with you? And he just replied, I go at 6 a.m. And I said, okay, I'll be there. So it was already pretty intimidating. Learned how to long snap, obviously, kept getting better. And I think that he, after a couple of weeks, really enjoyed having me there because he had someone else, kind of compare himself to someone to catch for him, someone to rush for him, all those kind of things. So, and then it's blossomed into a great friendship. Like I'm going over to his house this Sunday to watch NFL, have some steaks, have a sauna and a cold plunge. He's a great dude. I credit him a lot for the help for staying in the league in my second year, and he was a great veteran to me in that kind of off season team that we have, and yeah, super grateful for everything that he's done. And obviously, I wish that it was us hosting the Grey Cup this year, but if there was someone else that deserved it, I think it was him.
So, you get into was it 24? Mackey retired.
Mackey retired. What year did we just play? 25?
25. So 23.
He retired. He retired in 24 because I was his backup in 24.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
2024, you end up, or sorry, Mackey ends up, I believe, kind of going through some bumps and bruises during the season. You end up having to maybe possibly pivot and just be a valuable asset to the team of, what can I do? How can I
Yeah.
get on the field?
Yeah.
And you end up deciding to learn your third position in the CFL. Take us through that and kind of being able to learn that from as well, a good teammate and good friend on the team.
Yeah. So Mackey, obviously, he's a first team All Pro. Like he's a great leader of men. He's a great fullback. He kind of pushes everybody to be great. If that's weight room, if that's diet, if that's going out, spending time together, he commands a room. He does everything for everybody. So learning behind him for, a whole year was awesome. And he helped prep me for my 3 starts that I got to have as well. We're out there. I remember it was my first real start, and I knew I was going to play a lot against Calgary. And because that was like a fullback heavy game plan that game. And he was out there with me. He showed up to the stadium 4 hours before. He's not even playing, reading the script for me, telling me what to look for, if the defense is stemming, like eyes here, feel here, things like that. So a lot of credit to him. And I saw him this year after a couple of games, and I just said, "I'm just trying to make you proud, buddy." And he said, "Oh, you're doing it. Don't worry." So that love, that family, it'll always be there.
That brotherhood for sure. So, one that I was super excited to kind of ask you about, and kind of just if you don't mind talking a little bit about kind of the maturity that you have as a young man going into your professional kind of career of being able to understand the difference of what I would like to do versus what I have to do, and obviously having the maturity to understand hey, I would love to play D line, to keep playing D line, or like to keep playing D line, but if I want to stay in the league, I'm going to have to transition or maybe be able to pivot to different, avenues to stay in the league. So talk a little bit about that maturity at a young age where, a lot of kids, I feel like in this day and age just want it and kind of are stubborn to the point and they'll be out of the league before they even know it.
Yep. So I definitely think that, maturity and self-awareness go hand in hand together, right? I'm very situationally aware of everything that's going on. So, defensive end in the CFL isn't a very Canadian position other than, the 3 names that stand out. Matthew Betts, obviously, phenomenal player. Robbie Smith and Isaac Berglund in Montreal. So it's mainly an Americanized position. So you're kind of already at a lull for that. And I just kind of realized hey, what's a Canadian position? Snapping. What's another Canadian position? Fullback. So let's go focus on those 2. And hopefully I can play for a decade plus.
I love that. So you got to, tote the rock a little bit in the last few seasons, which is super cool. I could see the
Yes.
smile on your face already, and not only in preseason games, in meaningful games, in regular season games. You've been super meaningful in playoff games as well, especially with our run game the last few years. So, how fun has that been for you to kind of carry the ball? And obviously, it's the ultimate team game, so you're just wanting to do your job at the end of the day. But how fun is that? And is it true or is it false that is this your first offensive touch in the professional game?
First offensive touch ever. I never got an offensive touch in high school, Hilltops, Huskies, ever. I did play a lot of flag football growing up, but I don't think that counts. But just the ball skills for me have always been there. Me and my brother, me and my cousins, whoever I'm with, me and my boys, we just love throwing the ball around, making sick one-handed catches, running routes for each other, doing all that kind of fun stuff. When I was on the Hilltops and the Huskies, I'd always go out there early with the returners. And instead of being the smart guy and probably working on how to snap, I would stand back there with the returners and catch punts. So I think all those things have combined that I have some pretty decent hands for a big guy. And obviously work and trust zipping me the ball wherever I'm at on the field. And I'll do my best to bring it down and just get north-south and get some yards for the team. Taking the handoffs, though, was a little bit more tricky for sure because I've never done it, right? So that one game, and I had to close it out against Ottawa when JB went down with a hamstring there. I was just like, just secure the ball and just run into the back of Broxton and Woodruff and just drive my feet. Just, make sure to run the clock out, finish the game. And, obviously the 2-point against Hamilton was super special. Just like getting a little cut, off those two big backs again and finding the end zone with Andrew Pearson driving the middle linebacker down. That was pretty special.
Yeah, getting in the box, no matter if it is for 6 or for 2, man, that's super cool. So, it's been fun to watch. So let's get into a little bit about some recent news. Obviously, you just signed, I believe would have been your 3rd professional contract, correct? You would have been on your rookie one. You just extended last year in 24, and now this will be your 3rd one, where the average professional career length, I believe, maybe in the NFL is I think like 3 years or something like that. Where now you're past that, you've got extended. What are the emotions after that? Where now I believe it's been a little bit of time as well. It's probably been about a month since you signed. What are the emotions? Have you had a chance to kind of maybe step back and realize how cool and special that is?
So I was talking to this actually in the gym with a couple of guys today, and we were just talking about kind of memories that we had together playing a long time ago, things like that. And the main thing that I kind of took away is things don't change. So my love of the game, things don't change. My attitude and how I kind of approach everything doesn't change. So just because I signed the contract doesn't mean anything's guaranteed, doesn't mean anything's given. I need to go back to camp this year, win my spot again, and be an impact player and go out there and rototill guys for, whoever's running that rock behind me to go score touchdowns. And that's not going to change. And hoping to get about 20 tackles on specials this year as well. So just going to keep on crafting that every single day, be consistent.
Keep on keeping on. So last few before we get you out of here, Riley. And I'm curious, back to the getting the balls in your hand. At any point, was there any scoop and scores? Did you ever get lucky for an interception? Was the ball ever in your hands on defense at all?
So I played obviously defensive end in high school, and I remember one time it was a super delayed pitch, and I just ran up the field and caught the pitch and took it 40 yards to the house. So that was my only touch I had, only touchdown so far to my career that I had. I should have scored against Calgary this year in Calgary. I was so close, but I didn't want to be, that like idiot to try to do this and then fumble the back of the end zone for a touchback in a close game, right? So, I just let Masoli have that 1-yard plunge. But, that's my only touchdown and touch that I've had other than, last year and the year before that.
Super cool. Super cool. If Buck's possibly listening, we got to get Riley Pickett some more looks next year. Get him in the box would be super cool. So let's, I guess, end it on here, Riley, where you've been a part of this team now since 2022, as I mentioned, was your rookie year, and that's kind of where things started. Obviously, Nathan kind of came onto the scene in 2022 as the full-time starter after Mike Riley. We get to go to the West Final, I believe, 3 out of the last 4 seasons. We've been knocking on that dang door. What do the BC Lions got to do in your mind to get over this hump?
What do we got to do? Honestly, I think that we just need to stay true to our process, and we need to just take a deep breath in stressful situations and realize that we have already prepped for this and we're made for this. I think that, we're adding some key pieces as well right now in free agency that are going to help us, make that final push. And we're also keeping this exact same team as last year, coaching staff and all. So we really built a good brotherhood in there. We built great bonds in there together as well. We all love playing for each other. It's always easy to go out there and play really good football when you want to do your job for the guy next to you, right? So I think that the front office is really seeing how close-knit of a group we are and how much we all love each other. And I think that, this year's the year to push over the hump and finally get to that big game.
All right, last one for you here, Riley. And I want to talk about, obviously, rightfully so, but everyone likes to talk about one Nathan Rourke, and deservingly so, as I mentioned. But I want to ask you a little bit about your head coach and Buck Pearson, and kind of obviously as he's wrapped up his first season at the helm. He referenced it the other day in the CFL Winter Media Availabilities when him and Riggs were made available of kind of like the foundation is set now. And, when we get to camp, the veterans kind of understand the standard and they kind of implement it and kind of pass it down to the new guys and stuff like that. What's it been like to kind of, I guess, work with Buck and kind of watch him kind of implement his culture and his standard to the BC Lions?
I would run through a wall for Buck. I love him. He's a great coach. He's a great man. And he has a lot of trust and belief in me, as being a first-year fullback, a first-year offensive starter, and the amount of volume that I had this year in his offense. I'm very grateful, and I just want to make him proud every time I'm on the field. I want to make everybody proud every time I'm on the field. I don't care if I don't get a single touch the whole year, but if I'm out there 20 run blocks a game and we're running the ball down teams' throats, that's just as satisfying for me. Like, I really don't care about anything other than getting the win. And I think that everybody knows that about me. So that's why I was brought back as early as I was.
Forgive me, Riley. I got to sneak one more in there. So
Oh, as many as you want.
I lied to you. But forgive me, I could not forget the GOAT and talking about Whitey, and obviously he just extended as well. What's it been like to kind of be a part of that operation? As I mentioned, kind of with the holder as well. He's an all-timer, and I would imagine it's super cool to kind of and you reference it actually, I believe in I don't know if it was Arrow Up, but like Whitey will invite you over to dinner at his house and whatnot, and you guys have had that bond and been able to build that bond, and he also vouched for you, right? To kind of I want Pickett to be my long snapper, and obviously I know Kyle's great as well, but talk a little bit about what it's been like as a young player to work with a guy that's going to be an all-timer.
Yeah, I love Whitey. He's a great dude. He's hilarious. Me and him have a crazy relationship where, like, we won't talk to each other for 2 or 3 days, and then we'll be the best friends for 2 or 3 days. And I'd have it no other way. We're just goofballs together, constant laughs. Everything's great. Like, I went over for birthday supper with all of his parents, like his family and stuff. Like, we're definitely close. And yeah, I miss being his snapper for sure. That definitely we haven't spent as much time together over the last year because of that. But things are like I said earlier in this podcast, things don't change. So we still hang out a lot off the field. We play darts, we go for drinks. The team goes out together. He's a great dude. I'm just happy that we get to play another year together.
And if anybody missed it to start the episode, Riley, just to end things off, maybe just give a plug one last time for Next Level, everything you guys got going on, coaches, any upcoming camps, and where they can get involved or even get in contact with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can follow us on Instagram, Next Level Academies. DM us if you want to do any type of personal coaching. If you want info on camps, we offer personal coaching for all positions. We do personal coaching mainly based out of Saskatoon. Our kicking coach is based out of Vancouver. So if you're a kicker, punter, you can contact us. We'll hook you up with that. And our camps, we got our Saskatoon camp, April 4th and 5th at the soccer center here. It's already selling out pretty quick. So honestly, I would get some tickets now. And our Vancouver camp is the next weekend, April 11th, 12th at Centennial Secondary in Coquitlam. It's going to be a great event. And we're partnering with the Lions on that one too. So it's going to be pretty big as well.
Awesome, Riley. Well, this is long overdue. As I said, buddy, I enjoyed, as I said to you offline before we got on here, I kind of remember who won Riley Pickett was dating back to that 2017 game and watching the stream, and then just kind of following your career path from there. And obviously you come out to BC, which is super cool. So thank you once again for hopping on, giving us a little bit of your time on a Thursday, buddy. I appreciate it. Wishing you the best of luck. Have a great rest of your off season, and we'll chat soon.
Yeah, thanks, Cole, man. I really appreciate everything that you do for Canadian football. It's awesome to have a guy like you doing this on this platform. So thanks for having me on, and I'll see you next May.
Awesome. Thanks, Riley. Alrighty, folks. Well, that was another great episode, I must say. Huge shout out to Riley Pickett once again. Good old Sasky boy. And of course, is he the Swiss Army knife in the CFL, already having played 3 positions in his CFL career, which is just remarkable. As I said, just having the maturity, the wherewithal to understand, hey, I'm not going to be able to stick in the league at this position. I have to adapt. I have to make myself valuable, and that's what he was able to do and carve himself out a professional career. And now he's on to his 3rd contract after his rookie deal got extended for a season, I believe, in 24 for obviously the 25 year, and then now just got extended once again. So huge shout out to Riley. Obviously, you guys are well aware we love our junior guys on the CFF channel here. Being a fellow junior alumni myself, so super cool. Wanted to have Riley on for a little bit. We actually kind of talked briefly about it, or the Next Level account and I did briefly about it last offseason, as I said, and just due to things not working out, we had to save it for the 2026 offseason. But as I said, folks, we are coming at you guys bigger and better than ever. We've already had 3 episodes drop in 2026 to start the new year. This one will be the fourth, and we're not only, excuse me, halfway through the month of February already. So super excited for what's in store in the future as we continue to pump these out. I would imagine our brand's going to grow, and hopefully we're going to be able to get some bigger guests, which will be cool. And it's going to be a ton of fun. So make sure you guys are subscribed, following all that good stuff. For all off season long, there's going to be a ton of good content on the channel. So without further ado, folks, all you have to do, as I mentioned, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. When you guys subscribe, uh, comment down below. I mean, you guys can comment down below, but when you guys subscribe, press the notification bell. You guys get notified every single time we upload a video. And of course, you guys can follow us on our social media platforms at Canadian Football Fanatics, on Instagram at CF Fanatics, on Twitter. And then we will leave all the links in the description to millions.com, Royal Retros, and our merchandise that's made available, as well as we will have the link in the description for Next Level Academy and their social media platform, as well as I don't know if Riley mentioned if they have a website, but we'll leave their link in their Instagram in the description. As I mentioned, you guys will be able to find that at scroll below, and it'll pop right up for you guys. So appreciate everybody once again. It's been so awesome catching up with each and every one of you guys for episode 51, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.